the new Clint Eastwood movie, Sully, which is about, if you guys haven't heard the story, back in 2009, a bunch of birds flew into a plane, almost crashed it, but the pilot landed in the Hudson River. This was the story of Chesley Sullenberger, who is the Sully of the title, played by Tom Hanks. And the movie is about how it just goes into a trial. It goes into a trial about like how dangerous it was for him to be landing, and how he put all of those people's lives at risk. And it's actually really quite riveting. I saw it's one of the 10 best movies that I've seen all year, at least for me so far. I'd have to go and reorganize everything. But for those of you guys that saw it, what did you guys think?
Well, before I give my opinion on the movie, Tom Hanks is a phenomenal actor.
Right.
The story behind the movie was incredible. The guy's a hero, is unbelievable. But those kinds of movies about events like that, I feel like are so drawn out, and like it's just hard to make a movie about an event like that. I personally didn't like it. I feel like it was too drawn out of a movie with like his flashbacks and things like that. Great story, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I just didn't like it for a movie.
I get that. Russ, what do you?
Kind of disagree. I would rate it top 5 on my 2016 list. I didn't realize, like I remember watching the actual event on news. I didn't realize it was all the way back in 2009.
Yeah, I thought it was like in 2012 or something.
It's kind of messed up. I was like, I want to see this plane crash, which they do show, but they show it in many different ways. Like the first scene they show, that really grabbed my attention. I'm not going to spoil how they did it, but really grabbed my attention. The way they edited it, while I was watching it, I was like, this is kind of confusing, but it all came together in the end, how they left certain parts out because you needed to know why he made the decisions he made in the nick of time until the end. You guys know what I'm talking about, kind of, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I felt like I wanted to cry during the whole thing because it was such like a unbelievable series of really wild actions. I don't know. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Going back to the editing, was it like they gave you the information that he had at the time, and that's it, and then you found out things later that he found out? Was that what it was?
So basically, the movie is not less about the actual crash, but more about the investigation going into it.
Oh, okay.
So after events like that, usually they investigate, well, what could this pilot have done to prevent this from happening?
Right. What made those birds so angry?
Yeah. No. Seriously, they're like, why did you should have been preventing for birds?
Right,
like, so they needed to know why he landed in the Hudson and didn't go. There was like 3 airports he could have went to, and they left out that little bit of information until the very end when they had like this whole meeting about all of that. Well, no, it's not.
You can find the entire story probably online.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
if I wanted to spoil it.
If you wanted to spoil it, like any true movie, like if you wanted to spoil, what was that movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Mine on a Tight Walking Rope?
The Walk.
The Walk, whatever. You could spoil the ending to that movie.
It's a true story,
yeah. It is a true, yeah.
No, but like going back to what Mike said about being drawn out, whenever I watch movies like this, I get worried about those types of things too. But what I really loved about this movie was how it was all about this guy's mental state externalized. So the entire movie is just him not necessarily dealing with what could, like the guilt of what could have happened, but that's a big part of it. It's more about how calm he is and how calm his state of mind is going into everything. Like when they shoot the plane crash sequences, I kept thinking not about Flight actually, which is what the movie that a lot of people draw to.
Denzel Washington.
With Denzel Washington,
Yep.
yeah.
That's exactly what I thought.
It reminded me so much of that movie.
I was not thinking about that movie at all. I was actually thinking about Superman Returns. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie. There's a gigantic plane crash in Superman Returns where the characters are like people. There's one character that just isn't strapped down, so she's flying around as a plane. The plane is crashing. You know, it's flying through the city really close to buildings. You know, lands
like
in a
Flight.
Yeah, like Flight. And I wasn't thinking about Flight. I was thinking about Superman Returns.
Really?
Yeah. So, but what I was thinking about was I was afraid they were going to film it in this really kinetic, super like quick cutting, scary way. And they don't film it that way. No. The way they film the plane sequences, a lot of the plane sequences is very calm. And I love how in the movie, or in movies in general, when they represent a character's state of mind through the actual filmmaking. So like, there isn't a lot of quick cuts. The shots are really, really slow. The editing is really slow. And it just lets it flow. And they comment on that. There's a part where he's just like, well, your blood rate after this crash is actually really, really low, which is like, I'm surprised about that, after everything that you've gone through. And they show that. Like, he doesn't need to say that in order for you to be able to see it, but like you still see it. And I love that. And that's what I like. I look for that in movies, and I don't find enough of it anymore. And I really liked that that was still going on in that movie.
Could you argue that it was boring because of how calm it was?
No, I thought it was more interesting because
you
of
thought
how
it was
calm
more
it
interesting?
I mean,
Did you
people probably could
I'll
find
give it that. It was very interesting.
Okay.
I think they did a good job portraying like the whole investigation after effects that Russ mentioned or whatever, but it was interesting, definitely.
And it's funny because also I was thinking that it would probably be like the biggest dad movie of all time.
Dad?
The biggest dad movie.
Oh.
Like last year's Dad Fest was.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was